You may not believe this, but 3 familiar stretches you do to counter cramps could actually be weakening your legs faster. Especially when you are over 65 and often get leg cramps, stretching incorrectly is not only counterproductive, but also poses a hidden risk of falls and persistent injury. The very thing you believe is making you stronger could, in reality, be silently harming your legs every single day. For years, so many people believed that any stretch was a good stretch. They were advised to stretch their hamstrings, calves, and quads, and they believed it. But what physical wellness experts have recently discovered should make us all stop and think. Not every movement is safe for older adults, particularly those with a history of cramps, varicose veins, or weak joints. I know you have probably sat on the floor and pulled your legs straight, thinking it was a great way to prevent muscle tightness. Or you have stood against a wall, extending your calf behind you, or even stood on one leg, pulling the other foot towards your glutes to stretch your front thigh. Those movements sound very familiar, do they not? But have you ever felt dizzy or had more cramps after stretching? Or a dull ache in your knees or ankles for hours after a session? The truth is, a body over 65 does not respond to stretches the same way it did at 30 or 40. Muscle groups contract more slowly, the ability to maintain balance decreases, and if you pull in the wrong position, you not only make a cramp worse, but also risk a serious fall. That is why a growing number of physical therapists are warning that older adults need to avoid certain popular stretches to keep their legs stronger, not weaker. In this video, I will point out the 3 specific stretches you should consider eliminating from your routine if you frequently get leg cramps. At the same time, I will share safer, gentler, and more effective alternatives for a body over 65. You will understand why a few small adjustments today can help you walk steadier, reduce cramps, and avoid painful risks down the road. If you are watching this video, be sure to stick around until the end. Because the third thing, that seemingly harmless stretch so many people still do daily, is the very one that increases the risk of falling the most. Now let us get started. First, the seated hamstring stretch. For years, the seated hamstring stretch, sitting with your legs straight out and bending toward your toes, has been considered an essential part of any stretching routine. But if you are over 60 and regularly experience leg cramps, this movement can be a silent trap. The problem is not the stretch itself, but how your body reacts to it at this age. When you were younger, your hamstring muscles could stretch easily, but over time, muscle fibers lose their elasticity and ligaments become drier and less flexible, which means forcing a muscle suddenly, like folding over to touch your toes, can cause a surprise contraction, or worse, a sharp pain in your lower back or behind your knee. And the greater danger, many people perform this stretch without proper form, with a rounded back, a tucked neck, even forcing themselves down with short, hurried breaths. I once witnessed Frank, a 72-year-old man from San Jose, diligently stretching his hamstrings every morning. He thought he was doing something good for his legs, but one morning he got a severe cramp while bending over, leaving him unable to stand up. Later, his physical therapist told him something he never forgot. Your body now does not need an athlete's flexibility. It needs safety and controlled movement. The issue with the seated hamstring stretch is that it forces you to bend from the waist, stressing the entire sciatic nerve, which is already sensitive in older adults. When this nerve is overstretched, it can react with cramps that shoot from your glutes down to your calf, or even cause numbness. If you have ever felt a sudden spasm in your calf or behind your knee after bending over to stretch, it was likely not a release, but an overload. So what is a safer option? Instead of the seated hamstring stretch, you can try a gentler pose. Lie on your back, loop a strap or towel around the ball of your foot, and slowly lift one leg, keeping the knee slightly bent, raising it only until you feel a light stretch behind your thigh. This method controls the pull, reduces pressure on your spine, and allows you to stop immediately if you feel any discomfort. Another simple tip is to stand tall, lightly resting your hands on a chair back, step 1 foot forward with the heel on the ground and toes up, and slightly lean forward. No need to touch your toes, Just feel the hamstring warming up. This is an active stretch, suited for an older body's need for control. Most importantly, you need to remember that cramps are not just about muscle tightness. They can come from electrolyte imbalances, poor circulation, or nerve-related issues. Therefore, instead of focusing on a deep stretch, you should aim for movements that promote blood flow, keep muscles warm, and improve overall suppleness. Not every stretch is good for everyone. After 65, what matters is not touching your toes, but still standing steady, walking long distances, and feeling no pain after you exercise. Your body does not need a challenge. It needs to be cared for correctly. Second, the wall calf stretch. Most people believe that standing facing a wall, placing both hands on it, and leaning forward to stretch the calf is a safe stretch. And it is true that for a young, healthy person, this is a simple, easy-to-do movement. But for those over 65, especially if you often get leg cramps, this movement can become a fall trap you never saw coming. The problem is this: the position requires you to keep your back heel flat on the floor, your front leg slightly bent, your torso leaning forward, and both hands pressed against the wall. It sounds stable, but in reality, maintaining your balance for several dozen seconds in this posture is a significant challenge at an advanced age, especially if you have weak ankles, a history of falls, or even a slight drop in blood pressure. You can easily lose your balance and fall forward, or suddenly trigger a cramp in the very calf muscle being stretched. I once met Elaine, 76, from Sacramento. She diligently performed her stretches every morning and always did the wall calf stretch as a familiar ritual. But then one morning, while leaning forward, she felt slightly dizzy and lost her balance. The slip caused her to fall sideways, hitting her knee against the wall and forcing her to stop exercising for weeks. Her doctor later warned her, "You do not need to train like a coach. You need to keep yourself safe so you can continue training every day." The wall calf stretch has another problem. It places immense strain on the Achilles tendon, the most vulnerable area on the back of the ankle, which often loses flexibility after age 60. Forcing the heel to the ground while your body weight presses forward without good control can cause a dull ache behind the heel or even lead to tendonitis if repeated too often. Instead, you can try a safer method. Stand facing a sturdy chair with one hand resting on its back and the other on a nearby table or another part of the chair. Then you step one foot back, keeping the heel slightly lifted off the ground, and slowly shift your weight onto your front leg. You do not need to hold the stretch long. Just feeling a gentle pull in the calf is enough. The key is you always have support and can stop at any moment if you feel uncomfortable. Another gentler option is to sit on a chair, extend one leg out with your toes pointing up. Use a towel or strap looped around the ball of your foot to gently pull your toes toward you. This approach helps stretch the calf while minimizing any risk of falling. When you are over 65, every fall, even a small slip, can have serious consequences. Broken bones, loss of confidence, reduced mobility. Therefore, the most valuable thing is not the depth of your stretch, but the sustainability that allows you to do it daily without injury. If you experience night cramps or calf tightness after walking, consider replacing stretches that require prolonged standing or balance. Choose simple exercises with solid support, because when you feel safe, your body can truly relax. And when your body relaxes, cramps will gradually fade away. Third, the standing quad stretch. If you have ever stood on one leg, bent the other knee, and used your hand to pull that foot up toward your glutes, then you have done the standing quad stretch. It is one of the most commonly recommended stretches for the front of the thigh after walking or exercising. But for people over 60, this movement is like walking a tightrope. Just a small slip-up can lead to a loss of balance and a serious injury. In theory, this stretch lengthens the quadriceps, the muscle group that often tightens after sitting for long periods or after strenuous activity. But in reality, to perform this stretch correctly, you need three things: core strength, good balance, and flexibility in your knees and hips. These are precisely the three things that a body over 65 is gradually losing, and that is why so many older adults perform this movement in a state of trembling and wobbling. I remember David very clearly. a 78-year-old man who was very disciplined about his health. Every morning, he walked around the park and then leaned against a bench to stretch his thighs. One day, while pulling his left leg back, his grip on the bench loosened. He lost his balance and fell sideways onto the ground. The fall not only left him bruised, but also affected his already weak knee. After that, he started researching more and chose safer methods. The biggest problem with the standing quad stretch lies in the risk of losing balance. When you stand on one leg and bend the other behind you, your body's center of gravity shifts to a small point on your ankle. If you happen to be on an uneven surface, or if your knee and hip joints are weak, the risk of losing balance is very high, especially for those with arthritis, joint degeneration, or a history of falls. A minor fall can lead to a hip fracture, a torn ligament, or even a hospital stay. Additionally, if you pull the leg back too forcefully, the bent knee can be overcompressed, causing joint pain or worsening patellar tendinitis. Many people confuse the feeling of a stretch with effectiveness, when in fact they are putting their knee under dangerous pressure. So what can you do instead? A simple alternative is to stand parallel to a sturdy chair, resting a hand on its back. Then you place the top of one foot on a low stool or chair behind you, keeping your torso upright and slightly shifting your weight forward until you feel a gentle stretch in the front of your thigh. This move effectively stretches the quad without requiring you to stand on one leg, completely minimizing the fall risk. Another way is to lie on your side on a bed or thick mat with your head on a pillow, then use your hand to pull your heel toward your glutes. This position removes all pressure from your spine and ankle, allowing you to control the pull and stop anytime. After 60 what you need are not movements that look like they belong in a gym, but methods that help you maintain flexibility safely, consistently, and for the long term. Stretching your quads is necessary, but how you do it is what matters. And with a few smart adjustments, you can both avoid cramps and protect your legs from unnecessary risks. We have just reviewed 3 familiar stretches that many people over 65 still perform daily, hoping to reduce cramps and keep their legs flexible. But unfortunately, if not done correctly, or if they are no longer suitable for your body's current state, these seemingly harmless movements can silently lead to worrisome consequences. From overstretching and loss of balance, to the risk of falls, joint damage, or torn ligaments. The seated hamstring stretch, the wall calf stretch, and the standing quad stretch, each one has something in common. They demand better body control than what many older adults actually have. But that does not mean you have to give up stretching. On the contrary, a body over 65 needs even more careful attention. Every movement, every breath needs to be adjusted to fit your current health status. The good news is you do not have to give up everything. You just need to change your approach. Stretching can still be a part of your daily life, as long as you choose ways that are safer, gentler, and that respect your body's natural limits. With just a few simple adjustments, you can not only avoid those uncomfortable cramps, but also reduce fall risks, improve circulation, and sleep better every night. So today I invite you to do one small thing. Choose one stretch you regularly do, and try replacing it with a gentler, safer method you have just learned. You will feel the difference. It might be the feeling of no more tightness after your session, or more stability when you walk down a flight of stairs. And with these small changes, you are protecting something priceless, your own independence and safety. You do not need to be as flexible as you were at 30. You just need to be limber enough to tie your shoes without difficulty, strong enough to take a walk without fear of slipping, and self-aware enough to know when to stop. That is the true strength of aging: understanding, respecting, and caring for your body. One day at a time. If this video has helped you realize something new, I would love to hear from you in the comments below. What did you learn? What change will you apply today? Your comments are not just motivation for me, they are a valuable gift for others who are also looking for answers on their health journey. And if you found this video helpful, please hit the subscribe button, turn on notifications, and share it with a friend who you think needs to know this. Thank you for joining me until the end of the video. I wish you health and stability, and I will see you in the next one.